Trader Jack's. Hey everybody, okay, this is Cigar Vlog. Okay, so if you've been kind of perusing around the catalog for Cigars International, you've probably seen about a quarter-page ad for Trader Jack's. They show up in this big, huge sealed jar. You get like 35 of them. And, yeah, they're put up by J.C. Newman in Florida, and this is one of them, obviously. Oh, shit! Yeah. Anyway, I knew J.C. Newman from, like, you know, factory throwouts, a number of other brands, and, okay, good cigars, you know, it's pretty normal. I was expecting to get a normal, regular cigar. That is not what this is. The minute you open the jar, you get punched in the face with vanilla, chocolate, cherry cordial. What the fuck is this shit? These are flavored cigars, and a little over the top. I'm going to go ahead and punch cut this because if you can see that cap is sketchy as fuck. And my experience with these so far, they like to unravel if you're using a more traditional cut. So we're going to go ahead and punch this carefully. Try not to smash the crap out of it. Okay. Looking good so far. Another oddball thing is that they come also packed with, weirdly enough, on the top and the bottom, loose leaf tobacco with the same perfume oil flavor thing going all kinds of banana sandwich. And the first one I had, it looked like some of those oils had kind of soaked into the side of the cigar, which was a little disconcerting. But pick the ones out of the center, and they seem to burn all right. Let's go ahead and get this guy toasted up here. Okay. So, drawing this one is a little snug, but straight down the nose. Okay. Right. Immediately, what you notice is the best thing I can describe it as is a cherry cordial. Have you ever had one of those? It's like a little candy with like a maraschino cherry inside with that vanilla goop and a chocolate shell. Serve them around the holidays. I like have a soft spot for those things, and I would eat like way too many of them, which is why I don't usually buy them. Sweet tooth. No teeth. Anyway. You get a boatload of that. And a very sweet cap. But the actual flavor of the smoke. The actual flavor of the smoke, I'm going to say, is creamy. You get a little bit of the actual infusion there, or dye flavoring. I don't think it's an actual infusion like a Drew Estate. I think it's a case of, like, I think there's a probably mixed filler because of how cheap they are and the fact you get like 35 of them for a box of 20 something else. Well, I say a box, it's a big clear plastic jar. Anyway, it takes care of my storage problem. But I'm going to say creamy coffee, along with like that real hardcore cherry cordial candy on the lips. Yep, that'll stick with you for a bit. Okay. It's like you really can't even focus on what the actual smoke tastes like because you keep getting a mouthful of sugar every time. So, I don't know what the audience for these is, but it's definitely proving to be interesting. Anyway, I'm going to get this down to the first inch. We'll see how things roll out, and whether or not that flavoring takes hold instead of getting stuck in my teeth. God, I was a sugar bomb. All right, I'll get back to you the first inch. Okay, so 1 inch in. I notice these cigars are kind of squishy. which is why I'm kind of being a little careful with how hard I grip these, puff on them, etc., because they do kind of like to unravel. Flavor-wise, well, all you taste is that flavoring that they dumped it in. Actual smoke, I want to say good coffee, no cream. Otherwise, all you get mostly just that flavoring, that cherry cordial flavor. It sticks to your lips. It really steals the thunder out of whatever tobacco flavor is going on. It's also an earthy quality. If you let it kind of sit in your mouth and linger a little bit, you kind of sort of get a little bit of that flavor. I keep wanting to call it an infusion. I don't think it's an infusion. I don't know how they actually go about flavoring them, but whatever they do to them, that stuff is strong. It's like overpowering to the point where I can't really taste the cigar that much. But anyway, I'm going to get this down to the halfway point. We'll see if that flavor actually made it all the way through the cigar, or if they just like spritzed it with shit and just said, fuck it, we're good. All right, back to the halfway point. And hopefully I won't get run over by bicyclists, which may or may not be a thing in short order. Okay, pretty much at the halfway point here, and well, fortunately I didn't get run over by anybody, but there was a golfer in a cart, which was weird. Anyway, flavor-wise, very, very earthy. Once you get towards the halfway point, the sweet candy notes kind of starts to die off a little bit. Doesn't really get stuck in your teeth as much. Then you start getting like the actual tobacco flavor, and I don't think that flavoring really soaked in. I mean, it's still there on the lips, but the actual flavor of the tobacco is very earthy. I want to say slightly bitter, which is a weird contrast, and yeah, probably not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Let's face it, you're probably not going to be smoking this with your buddies. If you are, this is the one you go out to the freeloader that doesn't really smoke anything, and so you just want them to feel included. Not get your head all swivel, otherwise you end up getting a tumbleweed up your ass. Okay, anyway. I'm going to go ahead and get this down on the nub, see if anything wakes up or changes or improves, because so far this is Cigar. Not a great one. Not a particularly bad one, just, you know. If it weren't for that candy punch in the face, when you start, this would be probably one of the most boring things you could smoke. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the nub. Okay, well, got a nice little new one. Instead of almost getting run over by a bicycle, it was two guys on powered unicycles. Weird. But that's kind of what it's becoming par for the course for this state. Anyway, getting down to the nub here, I kind of want to say that we start getting a little bleed through of the actual flavoring into the tobacco. But overall, I'm noticing more or less that I can't tell if it's actually the tobacco being flavored by the flavoring, or the flavor is just coating the inside of my mouth and lingering. Because otherwise, flavors have been pretty much exactly the same all the way through. Which is decently creamy texture. I wanted to say coffee, but it's more very earthy, kind of grassy. Well, not really grassy, more kind of just... Thank you very much. Loud ass motorcycle. As long as it's got a very disconcerting dirt flavor, okay? It's got a bitterness to it that is a stark contrast to the candy sweet flavoring that I think they just like spritzed it, and there's an old guy walking up behind me. One second. Okay, let's go for a little walk, shall we? Get out of that dude's way. Okay. Alright. Anyway, Like I said, if it weren't for the very candy sweet aroma, this would probably a cigar you'd probably want to avoid. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say you probably should avoid it in the first place, unless you really like the novelty of the big plastic jar. Right, there it goes. Act natural. Super cash. Casual, natural. Yeah. Do it all the time. Okay. Yeah, that dude is still giving me side eyes. Okay. Ridiculously steep section of dirt there. Okay, well, now I got that out of the way. Awkward. I think the best way I can describe this is that you get a cheap car and you spend a boatload of money for a really fancy paint job, but everything under the hood is bone stock. Like, didn't even bother to change the oil. That's what they're trying to present it as versus what it actually is. And what it actually is, well, a cheap cigar. Now, this is kind of a thing with flavored cigars. Why you usually want to be kind of leery of flavored cigars is because of the fact that a lot of times they use that flavoring to cover over cheap or otherwise mediocre tobacco. And that's kind of what's going on here. It's not bad, but it's not good either. That's it. If you just want something to burn while mowing the lawn, yeah, I mean, for the price, why not? At least you get a free plastic jar humidor out of it, right? So yeah, like I said, nothing really endearing about this other than that big fancy jar and that punch in the face of sweet candy. Whew. Drink pairings, Coca-Cola. Don't waste any money on anything more expensive with this thing. Anywho. And aside from the novelty, these are pretty much a solid pass. Find something a little more worth your money. Which actually, even from J.C. Newman, there's a lot of stuff that is far better. For actually about the same price, it's not cheaper, I think. Anyway. Before I have another loud-ass motorcycle or cranky-ass old man, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and get out of here. So, if you like this review or any other review, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know if you had these and what you thought of them. Beyond that, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you next time.